Whenever you are.
No, I was gonna wait for that. It's, I figure out, let's wait a moment to. Okie dokie. Good evening, everyone. If everyone can rise for the. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Our first order of business, well, we've got full council present, town manager, is Jenna on vacation?
Got it all set?
Oh, she's on sick, okay. We have town manager, town clerk, everyone here. And our first order of business is we have an executive session to interview a couple of board members.
Madam Chair, I move we go into an executive session pursuant of one MSRA 405.68 personnel.
Thank you. Second. All those in favor, say aye, Jessica. Aye. John.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Melissa. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We have Tony and Mary. Tony, if you'll come with us, I think we have you first, come back here and then we'll stop out.
Okay.
Thanks. We'll be.
No.
No.
On your end, it might, but on our end. Think about it. So the town approval for this warrant question meeting. The lawyer wrote this question. So that's. Because then it's the council. So here's the thing, you come in and you said, hypothetically, you said it was a footpath. And we wanted to spend 20,000 on that, but then we tried out doing more to it, we wanted to spend 40,000. That can be changed by the council as long as the total council.
Yes, but you know, this guy is.
It's the guy, it's the lawyer, the council will have for the question, the council will have the authority to approve up to 200,000. If you come in and say, I want to spend 199. They can say that's possible. As long as it's stewardship, status possible. So that's according to the legal counsel.
Yeah, like I suppose I'm not, and I'm not, I mean, he's, I just think that means a little bit,
Well, that's up to the council. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just showing you how, what the lawyer needs.
right, right, I think you said that, on that very day. Doesn't get the council or the land trust enough direction, we will come type of invoices, and I think you will.
Well, I think,
Voter, but you get the vote, the vote, no voter, will know what's up, it's just kind of. What's that mean to a voter? I think they need to know what they're voting on. That or, just to clarify, I mean, that's a word, that's a foundation.
but that's what you submitted to us in a public meeting.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of the meeting going. All right, could I get a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? All those in favor of coming out of executive session, say aye. Jessica? Aye. John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa? Okay. 0. Thanks everyone for your patience, for our executive session. We'll go ahead and get started with our usual meeting. Our first order of business is approving minutes from our last couple of meetings. So we have the council meeting from March 12th up first. Any edits from anybody on this one?
Madam Chair, I move we approve the town council minutes from 3/12/24 as written.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jessica? Aye. John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Abstain.
Oh, yes, you weren't here. Thank you. Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0, one abstention. And then up next, we have a special town meeting on March 19th. Just for context, this was a meeting that was where the council just dealt with one order of business of approving the liquor license for a new restaurant opening in town.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the meeting minutes from the special town meeting on 3/19/2024 as written.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or edits or edits? Okay, all in favor, say aye, Jess? Aye. John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And next order of business is signing the treasurer's warrant. From March. 21st.
Check the sound on that. She's saying there's no sound. Not muted, are you?
No, can you hear me?
Try that. I think you gotta speak up to the mic.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Online? I, if anybody could just like put a thumbs up there or something. You can hear me?
Is Denise,
They say she can't hear?
she's saying it sounds like everybody like the whispering.
Oh, well, okay, we'll be better about microphone.
Everything's on my end working.
Okay, where were we? Treasurer's warrant.
Madam Chair, I move we sign the treasurer's warrant dated 3/21/2024 in the amount of $237,52.14.
Second. All those in favor, or sorry, any discussion? No.
All those in favor of signing the treasurer's warrant, say aye.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0.
Is the volume up on the owl, I wonder, does that make a difference?
I've never fiddled with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
But I see on my screen, the mic is picking up sound, so I'm not sure.
We'll
Maybe it's
try to be
hers.
better about it.
Maybe it's hers.
Yeah, maybe, okay. Public comment, is there anyone here this evening that would like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda later on? Nothing? Anyone on the phone? If you can hear us? Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. Number 1, comp plan process and tentative timeline. Jessica and Tim, I'm gonna hand this over to you.
Thanks so much, Mallory. We've been working as a committee for about 23 months. And currently there's a bill in the legislature, it's LD 1976, which is an act to update the growth management program laws, which may impact our timeline to get this done. So there's some contradictory information that's in this plan right now. It's going through, its committees. But it may be prudent for us to act on our plan prior to July 1st. So at this point in time, last night we had a meeting to discuss the future land use chapter and plan for our public information session, which is slated for April 11th. On April 22nd, we will have another meeting as a committee to review the full draft plan and then submit it to the town council for the town council's May 14th May 14th meeting. Where I think PTC will help us present that to the council. And then there will be a second meeting on May 28th if necessary. After that May meeting, we, as a council, will need to act on that to vote to send the draft to the state for consistency review. Right now, there is one employee at the state performing this work and quite a number of municipalities ahead of us. So, we will send it for state review. Once we receive the state info, we need to make that plan to address revisions. Whether the council at this point considers, once the council has acted, if it's in the council's interest to complete the plan, or whether it needs to come back down to the comprehensive plan committee to address any updates once it goes to the state for consistency. So that's something that I'd like to just kind of get some guidance from the council to understand, is the comprehensive plan committee's work done once the council acts on it? We also would like to just chat a little bit more about implementation. We understand that the council feels the need to set priorities for the community with the comprehensive plan, but we are suggesting seating a committee to meet infrequently to help better inform the council on progress for the plan throughout the year. And then to present to the council an annual report in the town, report to, address the community on what we've completed in the plan.
Okay, so as it relates to the timeline stuff, does this timeline here that you've laid out, does that work with the new timelines that you referenced that are tricky?
It does, if we
Okay.
keep everything on schedule.
Okay, and then for this evening, we're looking for some direction on, I'm just restating to make sure I'm clear. We're looking for some direction from the council on if we give this to the state and they come back with, hey, you guys need to make some changes, how do we want those changes to occur? Right? And so the council will approve the draft before it goes to the state, and so then I would think it would come back to us. I'm just throwing this out there. My preference, I think, in this scenario would be, the comprehensive plan has been the comp plan committee has been in the weeds on this forever. They're gonna be much more well-versed. You all are gonna be much more well-versed on all of the details than we are. So my preference would be in that situation, if we do get it back from that comp plan, from the state, for us to kind of review the revisions and then provide some direction back to the committee to say, hey, can you guys modify this and whatever. That's my 2 cents. I don't know what everyone thinks.
I agree. I agree with you.
Okay.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, we could consider, once we've received final approval for consistency, is when that committee's work is done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we think that the committee is willing to stick with it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What other,
As far as implementation,
yes,
how does the council feel about seating a smaller committee just to help better inform the council on, continued progress?
Does anyone have any thoughts? I like,
seating a smaller panel from existing members.
Or opening it up to the
Opening.
community, opening up a 5-seat committee, to really help, meet biannually or once a quarter, just to ensure that we keep this moving forward and we don't just put it on a shelf. Being a little bit proactive and taking some of the responsibility, having the council delegate some responsibility to this committee to do, but not everything involves budget. So we just, do we want all this work to fall to us, or do we want to?
I think if we can have a smaller committee to push it to, we'll get more out of it than letting it fall to us because where we go, but.
Madam Chair, if I may.
go ahead.
So in the past, in other towns I've worked in, that's exactly what they do. It's really not the council's job to implement the comp plan. It should be exactly what you're talking about, Council Sayers. Take it, once it's wrapped up, as far as the actual plan itself, and that planning committee should be done. And then what you should do, some of those members could fall over. But my recommendation to council would be to appoint a new, go out and appoint a new implementation, which could be some of those members coming, staying on. And that they each year prioritize, meet, and move just that plan piece forward, make recommendations for you and to the manager for council and budget, so that we can keep the plan moving, but that's really not a council project.
No, I think that's what we need. I think that's where we lost it on the last route, is the council was. We have so much that comes before us, we don't have time to go backwards a lot of times. We make a list every year, and if we get 5 out of 10, we're doing really well. So,
the implementation committee, the formation of that is something we probably wouldn't need to work on until we're kind of approaching that final adoption, I guess, right?
That's correct. So, having this conversation tonight is helpful so that we can go forward with our public hearing, our public information session on April 11th. And do our final work as a committee on the 22nd to pull that back together.
Great. So the existing committee ultimately is gonna take care of revision, the final approval by the council, and will form a comp plan implementation committee as we get closer to that date. Is that all you needed? Thank you. Any other thoughts from councilors? Anyone in the audience?
I'd just like to say thank you for all the hard work.
Yes.
You guys have been putting a lot of time in, and we appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you. Our next order of business is the FY 25 budget. So included in our Word docs is a overview of our fiscal year 24 budget compared to fiscal year 25 and what we're planning for this coming year.
Would you like me to share?
Sure, if you want to. I wasn't gonna go through it in crazy detail for this evening because we're just approving a draft, but the council has met several times with town staff to review our budget for this coming year, and I believe we all feel really comfortable with what we've brought forth. So this evening, we need to go ahead and approve that draft budget so we can get things published for our annual town meeting, and we ask all of you to approve it. Anything you want to add, Tim, any other counselors? You want anything?
No, just that, we updated the motions today to make sure that there's 2 motions with exact numbers, and those motions that has to be read in the motion, please.
Got it, thank you. All right, I will go ahead and offer up, is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak on the budget, ask questions? Okay, all right, so the first motion that I'll make is to approve fiscal year 25 draft expense budget increase of $829,717 for a total of $10,088,474.
Second,
Thank you. Motion and second, any discussion?
just want to make clear for everybody, just so there's no confusion, this is only the town budget. This does not include anything with the school. This is just our budget for town expenses.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jessica?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And the next one is, I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 25 draft revenue budget increase of $150,555 for a total of $4,767,489.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jessica?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Great. Thank you. And our first order of new business is Conservation Commission and the Town Forest Bridge Project. And Tim, you're the lead on this one.
So I was approached by Pat and the Conservation Commission and Brett. And they came in and had approached the town, asked if there was any money after the winter storms in December, that there was a federal declaration on for disaster recovery. They came in and said the town forest projects had taken a lot of damage. They were able to show me the pictures. They showed there's a lot of water bars. A lot of places that were washouts. Excuse me, in order for them to be usable, they needed to do some repairs. They presented us with a budget, as you see going through the pictures, a very detailed budget. They wanted to do 12 log bridges, 10 feet long, and 1 footbridge, 12 feet long. I asked Brad and Pat to get us an exact amount to see exactly what that would be. They went out, they got prices, they broke it down exactly for what it was going to be for each project. To detailed sense, and you see exactly on those following pages what they're talking about, 0.8 of a mile. They're seeking $2,200 for a total of $870 for bog bridging and a footbridge. The total would be $22,4806 for the penny. They listed all the materials they needed to buy. We have a donation account that we maintain, and people send in money, and they often will say it's for town projects, it's not funded, and it's just at my expense. So I'm gonna use the money from that, and this is just for transparency and for the council's information. So you, excuse me, you can see the details of their project. I was very satisfied with Pat and Brett's effort, putting the numbers together, they are down to the fasteners and screws, the screws for the deck, the handrails, everything. So I'm comfortable approving that. I just wanted to FYI to the council and the public. We are investing, we do support our town trails, and we're reinvesting donated money into that to have them do that. So that, I approved that yesterday. I told that to Brett. And Brett, is there anything you'd like to add? Did I miss anything?
No, hopefully you guys can come out and enjoy it when
Mhm.
put all the bridges.
So that's all, Madam Chair, and members of the council.
Thank you for the information, and just another point, because this was an amount under $10,000, Tim is able to approve that expense without our approval, just so you all are aware. But thank you for the update, Tim. Any questions, council, discussion?
No, just let me know when you go out. I need a hand.
That'd be great.
I run my dogs out there all the time, so let me know.
All right, any other takers on this topic? Okay, we're gonna move on to reviewing the new proposed draft warrant questions, related to the Great Works Regional Land Trust project, so that has been kind of an ongoing thing for the last couple of meetings. Tim, I know you have an update from legal, and I think we'll have some discussion. I'll open it up to the public as well.
So after the last meeting, I talked to the town's attorney, explained the whole process, what they were trying to do. He was comfortable with the wording that I sent you directly, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $200,000 from the undesignated fund of Great Works Regional Land Trust for stewardship startup costs related to the Salmon Falls Tidal Waters Project, which gives the Great Works Regional Land Trust, we would just give them $200,000 to use it as they see fit. I asked them if the council wanted an option for greater detail or designation of spending of the tax money. They drafted the question to see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $200,000 from undesignated fund for the Great Works Regional Land Trust and stewardship startup costs related to Salmon Falls Tidal Water Project And authorize the town council to review and approve any expenditures for such costs submitted by the Great Works Regional Land Trust as the council deems in its best interest of the town. So simply, any of that project within that 200,000 could be something that's listed, something that's not listed, has to come in front of you first, and then you approve it up to that 200,000, whether it's totality of one project or 20 projects within the 200,000. That's how lawyer crafted the question. What's that?
So option number one, which has a little bit less detail, seems to be. We had the problem with the last time we did this, where the language was too specific, where we had said the money needs to be used for this, and then now we are in the situation we're in today, where we have to redo this whole thing because our language is too specific. So number one is just saying appropriate 200,000 from undesignated for stewardship startup costs, which could be a number of different things, which we're aware of that, but that offers up the flexibility for us to not be in the same, if the voters were to approve this, to not be in the same situation when it's time for money to be distributed. And then the second one just adds in that additional layer of council approval as sort of as an extra step of, do we think that this qualifies as a stewardship startup cost and specific
Correct.
dollars?
So we got to number two, because the lawyer asked me the question, if you approve number one and the auditor comes in doing a general audit, pulls a slip on us and said, can you show me what this 200,000 was used for? I'll say, no, I can't. So if the taxpayers want to know what the 200,000 is used for, how do we prove that? How do we do that? Unless you're willing to just say, we don't care, the auditor wouldn't like that. So there's gotta be some functionality of, it's taxpayer money. And whether I like it, or you like it, or anybody else likes it, doesn't like it, there should be some accountability for how we spend the taxpayer money. Now, if you're comfortable saying it's a $200,000 startup cost, that's right there in the warrant, that's your choice. The taxpayers ultimately will decide. And you don't have to pick this language. If you want me to go back and get something different, if Tim doesn't like it and you want to change something different, I'm more than happy to go back and restructure it and ask the council. But I'll make it, lawyers write our warrant questions. There's a reason for that, because they're legally responsible in the end, so that when the auditor shows up to my office and says, where's that money? We'll do it.
One thing I do want to add is we did get an email from Pat Robinson, I think, kind of insinuating her power issues and what, kind of from you all, from Great Works Regional Land Trust, with a suggestion. And the one thing I did really like about this is that the language that they offered us adds in an additional piece of that this replaces what the voters already voted on in 2022. Because I feel like as much as we make an effort to try to get the word out there of what this is, and this is a different, the original $250,000, that's kind of null and void. People aren't going to, we just know that message isn't gonna land for everybody. So I personally feel like it would be beneficial for us to include some language like that to sort of say that, to kind of address the situation and say that this is new, this replaces, this is not in addition to the original 250,000, something like that, I think would be helpful to clarify for folks. That's my strongest feelings about the language, is that particular piece. What do you guys think?
Does it need to be in the warrant article, or can we just, I'm sorry. Does that need to be in the warrant article, or can we just preface the warrant article with that information? That's my only question. Does it get too wordy in the warrant article, and can we just, when we get to that warrant article, say, for background information, because the only people voting on this are gonna be the people in the room.
Oh, sure.
So we could address the people in the room and say, the 250,000 was not given because of these reasons. This is why this warrant article is here. This is why we're voting on it, rather than muddy up the warrant article.
That's true. I was thinking ballot.
Yeah.
Mode.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Legally, you could probably do either way, but for this particular purpose, as the vice chair says, I think we just do it as a informational.
Yeah.
To the people voting in the room.
I'm comfortable with that. I mean, I can rely on myself to add that color when we get there. What do you all think about the other language, and Tim and whomever else? I would love, I'm gonna let the council kind of weigh in, and then I'll open it up to you guys to come up and just keep things organized. What do you guys think? Any thoughts?
I prefer number one. If we need to have some sort of. Tim, this is more for you. What I was saying is I prefer question number one. I like the format of that. If the auditor needs some sort of something, bones, meat to it to be able to report back, can we ask Gray Works Regional Land Trust to come back with with a report back at the end of our fiscal year to say, this is what the money was spent on? Rather than have to, I personally don't want to have Gray Works Regional Land Trust come back to us with every $10,000, and then the people of the town think that we're putting it up for debate again. They voted on the money to be spent. If they vote for the money to be spent, I don't want to keep on have to rehash it all. So is that a possibility to do that, a report back that would suffice and help?
Yes, absolutely. The only piece I need to do for myself is if the auditor says, prove that that money was used for stewardship articles. How do I gotta do that? I gotta answer that question.
And I
But
would,
will he? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, that's a what if question, of course, but, I mean, I would think, and this is a question I'm directing at Tim, but I would think that you all would be able to provide that financial accounting at, some point if we need to provide that level of detail. Yeah. What else?
I do have another thing.
Yeah, go for it.
I apologize for missing the last meeting, but one of the things that stuck out to me is trying to rush it through to get to the town meeting. I personally don't feel that great about it. I understand where Tim is in his money. I personally would rather it be on the ballot initiative in June, so that the 14 people that show up to town meeting aren't the ones that determine the
Yeah.
$200,000 or whether it passes or not. At least if it's a ballot, a real voting, I feel like it's more fair or a better opportunity to get a better pulse of the community, even though we believe we know where we're at.
So then though, just to like play devil's advocate, what we were talking about earlier with the clarification on that this replaces the 250,000. If we put it on the ballot, there's no opportunity for me to be there with every voter and add color and explain that this is replaced. So I think there's a couple, I think we need to kind of figure out, are we gonna do the annual budget meeting or the June ballot? Because for me, I would push a lot that the language needs to be different in those two scenarios. Because I think in the June scenario, we need to have more detail in there so people are really clear on. I don't feel as strongly about the detail about the stewardship costs, but more so the detail of this is not an additional 200,000 compared to what you already voted on.
You could put that on a ballot. You can has
Yeah,
additional information, you just put a note underneath it. That's fine. You can do it that way, or if you choose again, I don't think, that's not altering the warrant question in any format. It's just a piece of information. So if you wanted to do number one as a warrant question and follow it with, this is replacing the original $250,000, not additional money. You could add a sentence in that. Either one, I think.
I agree with number one. If we go with number one, how do we ensure like a report out for Tim's purposes?
Tim, can I ask you to come up and join our conversation?
Sure.
Thank you. In that scenario with the language for number one, what are you, in this, how do we get the?
Well, we certainly would have invoices that we would pay, and so we would have those invoices.
Okay,
So they would be available to whoever needed them.
Tim, do we think that would be sufficient?
It's not my choice, it's the council.
No, I know, but you've expressed a
Would you
concern
feel
that we want to
that's
make sure
right.
we can.
Yeah, I mean, we need to just have something, if somebody questioned it, I need to have something, say that money was spent on that.
And-
Whatever you set the bar at, whatever you say that is, that's what it is, not me, it's you. So if you said that those invoices, if you said that Tim filed a certified report with the council at the end of the project saying we spent the money on you know, something like that, you know. Whatever, just something so that, or is stewardship startup cost 1 month, something like. Is do it.
One thing that I'm kind of struggling with is like, couldn't we more or less call this a donation? Right, if the taxpayers are voting to donate a large chunk of money to this project. And did that, I don't know, this is my lack of knowledge, that changes things, like,
Right.
are you always required to provide detailed accounting of everything, every penny that was spent of this donation that you chose?
We
to give
certainly
to the
would be more
organization? Yeah.
comfortable if you did require accounting. We will
Okay.
provide it, and we would be more comfortable if you did exactly get that accounting right up front and not make it just a general $200,000 donation. We believe that there's a need for transparency here, with the voters, and that's why we, came up with a little bit more detailed question to both be informative and to make it plain or clear what they were voting on, that it was a replacement to that 200,000. It would only be used for these 6 items,
Mhm.
and the town council would get to be the arbitrator of whether that money was spent on those 6 items. And that way, I think that process of you going through that, we don't see you coming in for, repeated small invoices. There'll be large invoices for the parking lot, for the trails. They're not gonna be small invoices, they're gonna be large, so I don't think they're gonna be burdensome on the council to approve those at a meeting. And then you would have your record for the auditor, in your minutes. I would think would suffice for that accounting.
So you would prefer that the tighter option, I guess is what I'm.
Yes, we would.
Okay,
I think it's interesting if you look at the time frame too, so if we go forward with number 1 and this project takes 3 years to come around, we may have an audit. Where we have, you know what I mean, like there's some steps that may be missing, so just hearing that from you, Tim, is really great, and
Which it will likely take, if we're completed in 2 years from now, that would be pretty quickly. So there might be a different council members here that might not remember this conversation, and then we could refer back to the warrant article and said, okay, it's for these 6 items. Okay, is this a 6 item, and is this an appropriate amount of money for it? And make the decision then.
Madam Chair, if I may. So one of the pieces why, I tried to call Tim the other day to get to him, but I didn't get a hold of him. So in talking with the attorney, I wanted him, I said, I don't want it so tight that they can't make changes, because lots of times with these projects, if he's talking about a 2 or 3 year project, 1.5 years down the road, something could change different, that they go, oh, we get here, we decide we need this too. Or we want to, instead of that, this is what we now come to priority. And number 2 allows Tim to have that flexibility of the Great Works Land Trust to come back and say, it's still part of the stewardship startup cost, but it wasn't on the list, but now it's become a greater priority because this is no longer. And to help give him a little more, give the Great Works Land Trust a little more flexibility in their projects. And the lawyer was very comfortable with that.
So I don't wanna tie their hands. I know why we did it last time. I was actually the one that pushed for the wording last time. To make sure that money was used, myself and Jack, that money was used to purchase the land. I'm not comfortable with one. One of the reasons I'm not comfortable with one is if we look at what we got for the town forest, we have an actual estimate right down to the penny of where that money's gonna be used. Ken did a great job on his presentation, but not one of those numbers in there was based in fact. They were all based on, this is what we think it's gonna cost.
Correct.
I can't sit in here, go to a town person and say, I think it's gonna cost $20,000 to build a driveway, because we just don't know. So number 2 leads it for them to come to us. And instead of We don't wanna do an outlook because this trail would be a lot better, we wanna spend the money there. It allows us to say, yes, go do. It allows them to get out of and do what they deem necessary. Or if we have a huge storm and something gets wrecked and you need to fix it, we can do that with question 2. I think 2 is the way to go. It works better for them. It works better for us as a council and the next council coming in to sit behind us. Because again, they'll be able to look back and say, we did our homework. I think two works for me. Just, it locks.
And I agree with you, and I agree with that. I just think that for, for most of the voters and most of the citizens in the town of South Berwick, they are simply gonna read the warrant article. And that's all. They might not show up at the town meeting. They might not go on January 11th to vote, June 11th to vote. And so, but that's gonna be their primary source of information on this, in this question. And I think, certainly I feel they owe it to the voters who, voted before, that to have a little bit more information and understand exactly what we're doing here. And that's why I was opting for a longer version of it. And again, if it was in the town meeting, as Mallory said, you'd have a chance to get up and speak and talk and answer questions, but you're not gonna have that to do it on the June 11th election. And so that's why we're pushing for a little bit more detail. And of course, the town meeting, again, we agree, is not that ideal because of voter participation, but in regard to the timeline for the project, we have to close this project. If we're scheduled to close this project at the end of June. And the funders want to know what the town's contribution is, since that was used in the funding proposals out there. And I've informed both the funders who had the matching town funds in about this situation and about, the situation that we're in. And they have both said, well, let us know what the town decides to do. Lands for Maine Future will make their final funding decision on May 14th. I mean, they will decide whether that project, our application actually goes forward or not. They've awarded the money, but they have to do the final approval at all the dots. The federal funds, they will make their decision sometime also in May to set us up for a June closing. So again, it's not as ideal as it is for the town meeting. It fits the timeline for us trying to get that money released, from those sources. And that's what, where we are to do it.
So as unpopular as my comment is about to be, your timeline in my world here, that doesn't equate to me being in a rush to make taxpayer money get voted upon. I guess, and let me put it in clear, in better thought. The town meeting, we're gonna have, unless there's something here, we might have 25 or 30 people. The last time this was voted on, we had 78% approval from the town, right, during the voting.
Yeah.
I agree with Jeff in the fact that I'm not comfortable putting this in May for $200,000 on the 20 people here to make a decision for the 5,000 registered voters in the town. I'm just not, but that's just my view. Unfortunately, you guys got yourself in a position by them donating land. Nobody really understanding how our article was written. If you would use that money in purchase of the other land, we would have been all set. So it locked us into this. I support this, but I really would like the entire town to be able to vote on it, not just the small amount of people that show up to the town meeting.
I must admit that we did lock us into this, but that was a strategy I chose because I saw that as an avenue, maybe that the town would not have to spend all the money it allocated. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. I could have, declined the donation, but that would have been odd. I could have gone back to the federal funders and said, well, you don't have to give us $200,000. I could have done those things, but I said, no, if there's any place, if there's money left over. So that's why we are here. I mean, it's not.
But I think we as the council, I think, John, where I think John is coming from, and I tend to agree, when we first put this to voters, we put it on a ballot and we gave a lot of people the option to vote on it. And we're going through this similar process. Yes, the language is different, the amount's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's still this is a donation for this project of Great Works Regional Land Trust. And I personally feel like if we change the method in which we are getting that input from voters, and it does significantly change it, because, you know, we all know the largest turnout we've ever had for a town meeting, in my experience, was the police station, and that's because of the police station. You know, and every other one has not had the amount of turnout. And while personally, I don't have any concerns about our community coming out in either way and supporting this, because they did it the first time, I just feel like as a counselor, we need to keep it apples to apples to a certain extent. Anyone else have any other thoughts? Counselor Costello?
I agree with John, and, I'm actually not really on board with either of the warrants. The reason I say that is because, with the lack of justification for the $200,000 ask, we asked for details of expenses. We got a list of potential and possible projects with cost guesses, not solid estimates. I can't ask my community for $200,000 when we don't exactly know what it's being spent for. Now, you can go back and say, well, that's where warrant 2 comes in. And they have to really break it down for us and give us exact expenses and stuff like that, but then it becomes reactive instead of proactive, and we're gonna have to vote and vote and vote and just battle this. Like, if right from the get-go, we just, like John said, the Conservation Commission asked for a $2,000 project, and they gave us down to nuts, bolts, and screws estimate for a $2,000 project. We didn't remotely get anything like that for a $200,000 project from the Great Works Regional Land Trust. So I am not comfortable with asking our community for $200,000 right now without more of a description of what it's actually being used for. The other thing is that I'm totally on board with John and Jeff about the vote occur if this does get passed. I do not like the vote being done at the annual town meeting, just for the simple fact that this town hall auditorium only has a 400-person capacity. What happens if 1,000 people show up at that town meeting? You just never know. What do? Do we turn people away? Do we cancel the meeting? Like, grander things have happened. And my final thought is that it's been assumed and insinuated that the townspeople wanted not only to protect this land, but be privy to access with it. I don't wholeheartedly agree with that. The town doesn't want more developments, which was threatened to be the alternative if this land acquirement from the Great Works Regional Land Trust did not occur. So is there a lot of people out there that just wanted to stop more development? More than likely, more so than potential trail users. So I'm just not excited about this whole thing right now.
I would love any of the counselors, you guys have anything else you want to say at this point? I want to open it up to anyone here who wants to speak about it. We're good for now? Okay. Tim, if you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure.
And then, Tam.
I'm in agreement with you up there. That's why I'm sort of pushing a more elaborate, more specific warrant article that will exactly identify the items that will be spent on. And it's true, as Melissa said, we do not have estimates. And the Conservation Commission does for its bridge in Bog Bridge. That's because the Conservation Commission is gonna go out in 2 weeks and purchase those materials. Great Works is looking ahead and looking at an uncertain future and uncertain costs. And that's why, again, we prefer that we come back with those items and those costs for your consideration and funding. That's why we're building that in, because we do feel it's important. We know exactly that they're just estimates and they're not totally accurate because we have not gone out there. But we do see things increasing in price. We've based these on the projects we are running now, the parking lots we are putting in now, and we added a little above that to look into next fall and next spring. But you're right, We might not spend all this $200,000 that's getting appropriated, and we think that's just fine. We just want to make sure we get this covered. And so, I mean, that's what I would say that how it will work. To go out there and get, if we went out there and got a nuts and bolts thing, like the Conservation Commission said, 1 month from now, they'd be out of date. 6 months from now, they'd really be out of date. A year from now, they wouldn't be worth the paper they were printed on. So to make everyone go through that type of work, isn't worth anyone's time.
Thank you. Tamara? I'm just gonna let whoever on the audience wants to connect and speak.
Tamara Steinhauer, 19 Hill Drive. A couple of thoughts. I don't have a vote, but if I did, I would vote for option 2. Simply because you guys are making a decision to make a charitable donation with my money. I want more accountability and then more accountability. And I can't imagine hiring someone to do a job at my home, for example, and have them say, well, it's 200,000 if we use it. It's too mushy for me. And so my other comment is, I'm not really sure why we can't do it at town meeting. It sounds like a small turnout is making the decision of when we have this vote. And that feels kind of odd to me. It's like, where does it actually belong? Town meeting or a ballot, and then put it there regardless of the outcome. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello,
Hello.
Dolores Leonard, 2 Old Fields Road. I want to start by thanking the council for all of your service to our town. You do so much work and a lot of it is not thanked, and I appreciate it. I would also like to speak up on behalf of the Great Works Regional Land Trust today. I am a big fan of them. I will say that, I'll disclose. But I also think what needs to be considered is that they have donated themselves countless volunteer and staff hours to raise $2.2 million worth of conservation land in a year and a half. And it's going to be a gift and a boon to our town. It's going to support our economy. It's going to support public health, and it's going to provide numerous benefits to us in terms of clean water, wildlife habitat. I mean, this is an amazing feat, and I don't want their success to be to have like a pall cast over their success, because we have this issue now with having to shift, to a new ballot. So I do appreciate the council's willingness to consider a new warrant. I won't speak to whether it should be in June or May, but I did, if I had a vote, and I don't, thank you, Tamara, for the language, I would vote for a little bit more detail, so the public does understand what they're gonna get for this money. I may disagree with Melissa in that I think that recreation is a big bonus that people hope for and vote for, because I live just down the street from Hamilton House and Vaughan Woods. And the traffic and the parking, it doesn't bother me because I love to see the people out there using the space. And I'm sure this will be used as well. I have no doubt about it. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other takers? Go ahead.
Paul Steinhauer, 19 Hill Drive. Excuse me. As an outdoors person and a big fan of conservation, I understand what they're asking for here, but it's getting a little old to be the rich uncle being asked for without some specifics. As the custodians of our tax money, I would think the council wants some accountability. You need to see some details. We have a lot of other big projects going on now that concern me. The town hall, traffic, roads are other budgets at this point. And I'm concerned that we have a lot of outlay at this point, and all those other projects are requiring and will have specific budgets. There are finite amounts and they are scrutinized very, very closely. So as custodians of the tax dollars, I agree with some of the comments that have been made here in the past that If you have specific projects, let's see the project, let's see the dollars and cents, let's see the amounts. I hate to have just an open blank check at this point. So while it is a worthwhile effort, I don't see that this project should be approached in any other different fashion like we approach any other project. You go out, you get estimates, you get budgets, and you have some kind of accountability. We need transparency and accountability. Where's the money being spent? Again, you are the custodians of our tax dollars, and I think the public, at least this public here, will require the town council to be accountable as to where and how you spend our money. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I just want to check in with Tim on timeline for this in regards, thank you, in regards to drop dead dates for language for ballots and warrants again.
So if you're gonna, you would need at the latest to vote for a warrant article to go to the town meeting. The final date is April 9th.
Okay,
So I would have to redraft the question. And you would have to, I'll put it back on the agenda, and you can vote on April 9th. Tonight, if you were to hypothetically approve one of these two, you could also, even though it is gonna be on the warrant, our town warrant, you could approve that language you were looking for. You can add that in, not the warrant question, but as information. So that could be added in. That being said, if you wanted to go to the 14th, to the June 14th vote, same thing, it has to go to,
what's the drop dead, get the drop dead date?
April 9th.
Oh, for both, okay.
So either way, we're voting on this at our
Next
next meeting.
meeting.
Either tonight or next meeting, if you wanted that. Now, in all fairness, Madam Chair, members of the council, there's another option, right? You can call the town council by vote, can call a special town meeting with 10-day public notice and produce the warrant question in advance. So you can do that. So I mean,
Meaning we would, that would give us the option to do something in between those 2 days?
correct.
Okay,
Meaning you could call a special town meeting April 9th, you could post a special town meeting May 31st, hypothetically, right? With the warrant question, saying what it is, get it posted, people would have 10 days to vote on it. And come, and so here's a couple options, they could come to the special town meeting on May 31st. Where's my reporter? This is a hypothetical, don't use that date, okay? I'm just throwing that date out there because it's in my head. When we get here, Paul, citizen Steinhauser could stand up, say, I make a motion to make this by secret ballot vote. The floor could accept that as a motion, pass that, and it could be a secret ballot vote then. So all these options exist to the council. You're kind of tied, if you want to put it on the town meeting date of May 21st, you're tied till tonight and the 9th. If you want to put it on the 14th of June, you're tied to April 9th. Beyond that, you're tied to nothing. You can have the freedom to do what you choose.
We'd have less of a turnout on a special town meeting than we'd have for the regular town meeting.
Generally, that's the problem.
yeah. Yeah,
I just have a question, I appreciate the public input, and I find that as we all end up having these conversations, we go down little trails. And the way I look at it is the one thing that we're doing here as a council is we're not doing what has been tossed around. We aren't opening the wallet of South Berwick to Great Works, to land trust. We, right here and now, what we are doing is we are honoring the constituents that we have and giving them the option to vote on this, potentially. We could not vote on this and it died right here, and it doesn't go to a vote and doesn't get talked about again. So that's the one thing that I just want to make sure that we have clear in our heads, is we're not giving $200,000 away at all. We are giving our constituents the opportunity to make the decision for themselves. Which leads to my question. with the reporting. If the citizens of South Berwick say, yes, we want to give the $200,000. And we have this report back that is the council, and I can question two. If we are going to authorize, approve the expenditures. Is that okay? Because the town said that we want to spend it on the 200, and then you're saying the town council has to approve the voted on money. That's where I have a question. It's unclear to me.
So I think in two, with us approving it, the town is approving the $200,000 to be used for the Great Works Land Trust.
Yeah.
They're trusting that back to us as a council, that we're gonna see that it's used for the proper reasons. I am not paying administrative costs. I don't wanna pay an administrator, I don't wanna pay a director. This is for actual hard work on the trails or parking lot. That's what we're gonna do, and I think that's what that gives us with Tim bringing it to us, and I think that's what he was looking for.
I appreciate you explaining it, because my mind is already that they're gonna come to us to, and I don't even think about the administrator, so I appreciate that, thank you.
I think that language offers up some flexibility that the previous didn't.
Yeah.
Because it's not locking in like super specific amounts for super specific items, which if, Tim, to your point, in a few years, costs change, then we're back at square one and we're having to do this whole thing again because we approved numbers that were too specific.
Sure.
But it is building in the accountability where we, as the elected managers of taxpayer money, can square those expenditures and just make sure we feel comfortable with them, and they are kind of aligning with what was voted upon.
Well, I'm talking with the town attorney on referencing part 2 of this, or number 2 question. I asked him, I said, give me a right question that you've seen used in other towns on how to allow them to have flexibility, but have the council to have accountability, but not micromanage the project. And that's what Phil came up with. So that's what it was for. I was just trying to help so that on both sides, there's accountability for you, but flexibility for them. On both, because the attorney was concerned where Phil had an issue. He said, if they asked for 200,000, rightfully so. And I explained to the attorney in talking with Tim that, this might be a long-term project. And he said, so now they decide all of a sudden that in the end, that the 200,000 was needed for the whole parking lot, never mind any trails, just the parking lot. He said, that's fine. But if they just use the 200,000 for that, then they could come back and they could say, now they have a better opportunity to come back and say, well, listen, parking lot's gonna cost us a lot more, and that's our greatest priority. Now we realize that. And, do we need to ask for more money for another project or something like that? But that was Phil's approach, was flexibility for 10 and accountability for the council. That's all.
So I think really sorry, I'm doing it again.
You're fine.
I think really what's before the council right now, I think, and Jeff, you nailed it in what you said, is we're putting this to the town to see if the town wants to do it. That's our initial job is to, and I think we would be remiss in our duties if we didn't put it to the town. I don't think the 5 of us should make the call that the town doesn't get to see this. I think we owe it that the town should get to see it and they get to vote. I think what's before us right now is
The language, the time.
the language a little bit for clarity, depending on where it goes to. I think the big one's timing. If we decide it goes to the town meeting, language isn't an issue because Mallory will discuss it before the warrant article is read. If it goes to June, I think language is an issue. But before us right now is, when are we gonna do it? I think that's the decision right now. We know, again, I think we owe it to the town to let them do it, but we need to know when.
And so with that, with the public, with their input, because I agree, if it'd be nice to know and have the transparency, not against transparency, I'm all good for that. When I came in and said, oh yeah, I like number one, my thinking was just being black and white about it. You want the money, here you go, take the money, go and do, and off we go. So with the conversation, I'm more, I find question 2 more appropriate and open to what everybody would like if it gets approved, to have that accountability after the fact, after it gets approved. I would make a recommendation to us that maybe we make 2 motions, that we make a motion on the wording
Language.
and then on the timing, so that we don't.
Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah.
So I just want, that's all.
Okay. Do you guys agree? I think the 2 motions would make sense. So, are we ready to vote on language? Do we want anything to go back to Bill?
We have to do timing first,
Oh, yes.
because timing's gonna affect what the motion
Language,
is.
okay.
So if we vote that it's gonna be at the Maytown meeting, those words work perfect for May.
Mhm. I'm struggling because I feel like the conversation about this topic that would happen in the town meeting, I think is important. Because it is complicated, and I mean, for God's sakes, we spent how many hours at council meetings talking about this, and so I'm gonna go ahead and say, even though I think to keep things apples to apples, I like the June date better because it's putting it on a ballot, which we did before, but given the kind of complexity, I think I personally like the town meeting idea better. That's me. Does anyone have thoughts? Do we want to tackle this tonight? Do we want to wait until next time?
I need direction tonight to get to
No, I know you, if we need to provide language, yeah.
April 9th somehow.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna just miss all the deadlines.
Mhm. Does anyone else have any other thoughts on that?
So I feel as though, we had our kind of pulse for the referendum question, and that given the timing and the need for background information and people that are going to be invested in this specifically, and it's up to us to, continue to advertise our town meeting. I think it'd be appropriate to put in the town meeting. My one question is, defining a startup cost so that we aren't talking about this $200,000 5 years from now, because if a trail hasn't been put in, or like just defining that would make me feel a little bit.
Are you talking about so the language currently says for stewardship startup costs is what the language from the lawyer said. The language that the Great Lakes Regional Land Trust has provided added a little more color of the town's funds will be used to develop a management plan, engineer and construct a parking area, trails, viewing areas, signage, and informational or educational kiosks. Those are the things that you guys are saying fall under stewardship startup costs. So if we were to take 2, add in that additional, this is what we mean by stewardship startup costs, and I know what you're gonna say.
Okay, so I'll stop.
But then I also feel strongly that the point needs to be made in either case about this is replacing the original warrant article. But you were gonna say, go ahead.
No, come on, let's see,
If we add in those specific things of management plan, engineering, construction, parking area, et cetera, and then something that boxes you guys in. And so,
you nailed it.
John's, and other things that would be considered by the budget. You could have.
so I think what is important to know, I think in that situation, because it sounds like it will be a while before the money's actually being spent, assuming it gets voted upon. So the 5 of us, when it's time for the money to be distributed, we could all be gone, so the only thing that we're really gonna have at that point, that future council would have at that point to drive any decisions that they're making on specific transactions is the warrant article, right? So that the if we add in that language, it does give clarity to future council who may be forgotten about the details of this, you know.
If you can find a way to do it, that gives them an out, so they have another option. Because that locks them into what we write. If we write it, it's just like the other one. That means they're gonna have to use it for those specific things. That's how I would interpret it coming in on a cold read. So I understand where Jess is coming about startup costs. Maybe we could do something a little different with the startup costs to do development of the land, development of trails or something. Because if you left it as development of the property, you could use it for anything you wanted to do to develop the property. Right? Parking lots, trails, outlook, you could use it for anything. But if we do the rest, I think that locks us right back into, if you didn't do this, you can't have the money. And I don't want to do that again. That's
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
In dealing with these projects, public safety, $8.2 million public safety building we did in Westbrook, and the public works building I built in Harrison, doing those projects. My recommendation is keep your warrant question fairly simple, and then put your information, added information on the ballot or on the warrant. Because then it doesn't, the more information you put that they're actually voting on, turns the mind, you know, gets them thinking, oh, I don't know. Now you want to do this. We found keeping the warrant question as simple as possible. We want you to do this or this. And then here's the reason, you know, where this is, gonna spend the money on the land, did get spent. Now they're asking for this, and this could take 2 to 3 years to do. So the purpose of council having the authority is that there are something like that, other changes. Just do an explanation on the information on the warrant question. That'd be my recommendation, right? How you.
Okay, I think we need to give Tim some direction on if we need him to go back to Phil and get some more adjust language, and then we also, you need direction this evening on June or May, right? Okay, so we need to go ahead and vote on the date, I think, is what we need to figure out. So I said,
Madam Chair, I move that we put this warrant article on the May town meeting.
thank you. Second. All right, all those in favor of putting the warrant article of a to be determined language on the town warrant in May, say aye. Jessica? Aye. John?
Aye, because of the overwhelming support last time. That was a great comment, which.
This is
put me
for
to
the
put it
town
to
meeting
May.
vote, right?
Yeah, this
Yes.
is to put this topic on the town warrant for the town meeting. Jeff?
No.
Melissa? No. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay. Oh, thank you, sorry, thank you. My bad, my mistake. It's very frequent that we don't have 5-0. Okay, so we are going to put language on the warrant in May. Then now it comes down to nailing down the language. It seems like there's consensus from most everyone, council and the public, to include the town council accountability in the actual warrant language, and then we can add the additional detail around what we mean by stewardship startup costs and the additional detail of this is replacing the original 250,000 later on. So Tim, does it make sense for us to vote in that direction and then have you just consult with Bill and nail down language? We can finalize language next time.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll have that finalized. You vote on that April 9th.
Okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to work with legal again to modify the warrant article.
No,
sorry.
just either vote on, unless you want to modify the warrant article, vote either on one or two.
Yeah.
To put it on the agenda. Then after that, you can just vote to have a note added to the information note added to the warrant question.
Got it,
That,
okay.
that doesn't anything to do with Phil, that can be you. So you just need to vote on either one or two, or if you want to do two and rewrite it, then it would have to go back to Phil, but if you just want two in its entirety, just pass two.
I think two includes the account, yeah. I'll make a motion to, move forward with the language in option 2, which reads to see if the town will vote to appropriate 200,000 from the undesignated fund to Great Works Regional Land Trust, the stewardship startup costs related to Salmon Falls Tidal Water Project, and authorize the town council to review and approve any expenditures for such costs submitted by the Great Works Regional Land Trust as the council deems in the best interest of the town. That's the warrant article with additional notes below it.
Okay.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Jessica?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. All right.
Okay, one more. Now we have the discussion on your additional notes, please.
Oh, thank you. Yep. For me, on the additional notes, I think we need to touch upon that this is replacing the 250,000 vote from 2022. And we need to list out what things are included in stewardship startup costs. So,
Examples.
example, so in, Tim, the council, we all have an email from Pat Robinson that lists out, at least what the Great Works Regional Land Trust has suggested, to break that down into saying that stewardship startup costs may include, developing a management plan, engineer and construct parking area, trails, viewing area, signage, and informational and educational kiosks. I think, is there any other stuff you guys want to add at the bottom? Or color to the warrant article?
I'm good.
Okay,
So to clarify, Madam Chair, you wanted to make sure that it says it was replacing $250,000 was previously voted on for the land purchase. And that to be used for stewardship side of costs to include what's in that email.
yes, yeah, I think so.
That, I would recommend that you motion, how you make the motion then.
Okay.
And then I'll craft that question. I'll craft that information so that it'll be on your agenda on April 9th.
Okay. I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to work with legal to draft additional language to accompany the warrant article covering the kind of
Information.
the information
For the question.
of the question.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jessica?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, I think that's everything for this topic. Correct? Okay. All right, thank you for your patience with us. We will probably have this on the agenda next time, just to
It'll
get.
be on April 9th for the informational
Yeah,
paperwork, because everything goes on the warrant has to be approved by the council.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll have drafted by then, run it by Phil, and have it for you at your next meeting, April 9th, and it'll have to be one way or the other.
great,
We'll
okay,
have to change it then.
okay, awesome. Thank you. Anyone have anything else they want to add on this? Okay. Yeah, go ahead if you want to come up to the podium.
Well,
Sorry. Yeah, come to the podium.
it's okay.
You can let me know you, but.
Rob Byrne, you live on Mountain Road.
Yeah.
In that last article, I might get my hand up in time. I was just wanted you to think about, you're giving a list of things that you want them to include, but if they say, we ate up all your money at $200,000, we still need to do that kiosk, we still need to do this, just need that, and they end up coming back with some more money. So I just wanted to try and limit that to the $200,000. That was all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the language is basically saying like up to 200, yeah.
That's
And
all.
so if they wanted more, we'd have to repeat this process again.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice
Yeah, thank
catch.
you. Okay, all right, we'll move on to new business number 3, EV car contract. This would be Jen, but I'm assuming Tim, you're gonna cover it.
Yeah, so this is just to replace the EV car. And they just need they need the corporation signatures, so you just need to make a motion and a vote, and then sign this, and then we'll get that. You see the picture of the woo-woo car.
Madam Chair, I move to sign the corporate resolution and incumbency certificate to allow the town manager to sign the lease for the new 2024 electric Hyundai Ioniq 5 for the lease price of $17.94 per year for 3 years.
Second,
I'd like to lease a car for that.
yeah, I know, how do we get that deal? Any other discussion on this one? All those in favor say aye, Jessica? Aye. John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, and last order of business, police union contract. Tim has been working with the police union to modify the contract, which happens, what, every 3 years? 2 years?
What's that?
How frequently do we update the contract?
It's a 2-year contract.
So included in the, board docs is a copy of the, draft union agreement, including a letter from our union steward, Austin McLeod, basically saying that they agree with the terms there, so, I think for this one, Tim, it's just recommended that we adopt it because everyone's on board.
Yep, they're very good to work with. It was, again, we didn't use any lawyers. We didn't need to. We had coffee at the table, it was amicable and worked it all out. One of the things I do want to say is the police union was very much in favor of the 3.3% pay raise, in favor of not doing anything higher and asking for more staffing. They were desperate at the table to say, we don't, you know, we need more staff. We need good wages, but we need more staff. This contract will put us in, so if the top 5 and bottom 5 tier 10 in the county will be at the top 5 of the bottom tier in the pay scale. That's where we're at. But even with that said, in the negotiations, they were pleading for more law enforcement. They said, you can pay us, but we're not getting vacations, we're doing too much overtime. Somebody's out sick, and we need more help.
I say the chief showed a definite need in our meeting we had.
Yeah, and I
with him
apologize
last
for being out
week.
sick on that, but
Okay.
No, he did a great job showing the need, this town, how it's changed since we all moved here to now, so. I appreciate the fact that they were willing to take that, looking for more help. So with that being said, Madam Chair, I move that we approve the police department labor contract for patrol officers and sergeants effective July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2026.
Second, thank you. All those, or any discussion?
Jim, thank you for all the hard work and pass that to everybody that worked with you. Appreciate it.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Tim, I just have a curiosity question, and it may or may not be confidential. In the police union contract, it says that our officers are not obligated to be a part of the union.
correct.
Can I ask if all of our officers are part of the union, or is that not privy information?
No, they're not all privy. There's 2, I think, that are not part of the union. But by federal labor standard laws, once this is passed by the majority of the group, they still, even though they're not part of the union, they still get union protection. They still get the union benefits.
They get representation. If they have an issue, they get representation from the union, even though they're not union members.
So what the issue is, so the MAPS, which is their Maine Association of Police Services, they set a rate to represent them annually. And that rate is based on the number of offices, so if they have 10 offices or 8 offices, whatever it is. And they say it's $8,000, $1,000 per year per guy, let's say hypothetically. So if 2 guys don't join the union, that cost is burdened to the other guys, they end up paying more, so they're just hurting each other. But that's how it works.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Jessica?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. That takes care of all of our business. Tim?
Madam Chair,
Oh,
before we get to Tim,
yeah.
as much as I'd like to hear Tim, I know what he's struggling with over there because I was there. Can we possibly move so Tim doesn't have to overwork himself with the town manager's report tonight? I know we have a bunch coming tomorrow that you have to do also. If you're comfortable with that. Do you wanna, I'd like to make a motion that we just post it and skip you doing it in the way that you're doing
That's fine.
right now. Unless you feel,
I could go through it, I mean, I'm not feeling bad, I'm just.
yeah, but you're struggling to do it, so I feel. better if
No,
we did-
that's fine, I can run through it real quick.
Okay,
It's not
tough
a-
it out, all right.
Thank
tough it out.
Our meeting, so I'm indifferent.
Be the tough mater, go ahead.
Go ahead.
On the highway, the softball, they're doing the softball field rebuilding, new field batting cages. Pitching on Great Hill Road, blasting on Thorough Road, obviously 2 snowstorms and windstorms, and they're filling washouts and working on low shoulders. Police departments had 5 arrests, 1 OUI. one warrant, 2 operating without licenses, and 1 driving on a suspended license with illegally attached plates. Fire department had 18 calls in the last 2 weeks, 93 to date. The fire at the gym over here at school, Christian School, was detected by smoke detectors in the front entryway. The first truck arrived within 6 minutes of the call, was able to knock the fire down quickly. They used just over 1,000 gallons of water due to the size of the building. They called the second alarm to bring in assistance from 6 surrounding communities. Buildings likely total loss due to the heat and smoke damage throughout. The loss is estimated over $1 million. State Fire Marshal Office responded and the cause appears to be accidental electrical nature. Code enforcement has done 6 building permits and 2 plumbing permits, no projects in front of the planning board. The library started using social media to get the word out for their programs, already having positive responses for it. The staff's excited that the paid position was approved, they're very excited about that. That position will start in July. I want to make sure I pass on, thank you to the council for that. The recreation, the egg hunt, country truck was postponed until this week on the 30th. Fire and police are planning to bring a car and some fire trucks over. Public Works hoping to also bring a truck, they can clean it. Summer camp registration is open April 1st. Seniors went to an Irish music show in Davenport last Wednesday and enjoyed the music, said the food was delicious. Easter lunch is tomorrow on the 27th. Assessing KRT staff working in Vermont this week, so they won't be here. So far they've done Berwick Road, Birch Drive, Bittersweet Lane, Old Court Street, Dawson, Demers, Echo Hill Drive, Front Street, Goodwin Street, Great Works Drive, High Street, Highland, Hill Drive, Jewett Avenue, Norton Street, Paul Street, Railroad Avenue, Rock Street, Plains Lane, Spring Street, Stevens Street, Tibbet Street, Union Street, and Wadley Lane. Under the town clerk, April 1st will be open, the office will be open starting on Mondays, new hours will be Mondays through Wednesday, 9 to 5, Thursday, 9 to 6. On Wednesday, April 3rd, and Thursday, April 4th, town clerk will be the only person in the office, as both staff members will be attending new clerk's training. Transfer station, even weeks after educating the public, people are still putting household trash in the contractor bags and leaf bags and dumping them in the paper bin. This is costing the town to receive additional costs due to Casella having to take time to sort it out. And it's considered contaminated, not recycled material. So on that note, if this continues, I'll close down the recycling paper bin for at least a week to a month. And if we reopen, we're gonna have to at some point anyway, because we gotta paint the bin and clean it and then weatherproof it. When we reopen it, they're still doing it. So what they're doing is they're taking these big bags, they fill them up with trash so they don't have to use the blue bags. And then they put all the loose paper on top, so we think it's gonna be recycled, just a big bag of recycled paper. And then the guys go in, start moving around, see there's trash in the bottom. So the last load we took, Casella took, they started to go through it and found out it wasn't any of that stuff, and they ended up taking it over to EcoMaine as trash. So I got a double cost for transportation. We can't keep doing this. This just isn't gonna work. And I am not gonna ask the staff, we shouldn't have to, staff making $20 an hour to go dig diapers and trash out of the paper bin. And the residents gotta understand, we put it on Facebook, I shared it on a page, I keep putting pictures up there, and they keep doing it. I sent 2 letters of notice of violation to 2 people so far. And that's the town employees digging through the trash and found letters with names on them. You know, and one guy called me outside yelling, screaming at me, just because my letter was in there with my name, you have no proof that I put that in there. Look, I don't know, I'm just telling you, this is it. Vote. If there's a message you can spread to the constituents in the community, they don't stop doing this, we're gonna lose the privilege of recycling paper. I'm not gonna do it anymore because it's costing us too much. Economic development, initial conversations with SMPDC and CAT staff. Maine DOT is looking to bundle federal applications for the region and for the Route 236 corridor. We're working with CATS. They're trying to set up a meeting with Maine DOT on the next steps of the planning engineering, $520,000. For what that is there's a big push coming from both Augusta and the federal government, from Collins and King's office, to not only to take our project and piggyback it into a whole 236 project all the way down to the turnpike. So we're hoping that there will be some additional monies there. The time, finance, HR, benefits. Assistant town manager, she had 6 business meetings, 35 staff meetings, and she's working to upgrade with ADP for payroll. Me, I had 8 business meetings, 26 staff meetings. The new town clerk has a new town name. She's also the new town clerk. She decided to change her name at the same time. She's now Mrs. Diane Jambusa. Did I say it close right? I get it?
You got it.
Jambusa.
Jambusa.
Jambusa. She snuck off last weekend and got married, so congratulations. Now we have to change all the nameplates and all the certifications, and so congratulations to her. Obviously worked on a police union contract, and, again, citizens complaints with, references to 161 and Concord Road. And that's my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Tim. Counselor comments? Who wants to go first? Beth?
I just think it's very interesting about the paper recycling, and it's really breaking my heart. And I understand that if we can't get this straight, we likely single source is not going to help us.
Yeah.
True. So what we can do as a community to get it out there that if you are going to recycle, please recycle appropriately. We had someone reach out asking us about opening the swap shop, and I basically said, like, until we can level set with getting the employees up to speed for what we need as far as coverage for the transfer station and proper compliance with the citizens, we really can't do anything additional at this point. We just don't have the capacity for it. But on a good note, the Marshall Middle School 6th grade chorus is up in Augusta tomorrow singing the national anthem.
John?
Not much other than to thank Tyann and the staff. I don't know, incredible. The amount of good comments I'm hearing about the office downstairs, how it's run, how friendly it is. Very well noticed in the community. So thank you to you and everybody you have down there.
Jeff?
Well, just congratulations, Diane, and thank you to Chief Ruger. I agree with what John was alluding to earlier in the meeting, that the data that Chief brought to that meeting that we had last week was just excellent. You know, it's really great and good to see and understand what's going on in there. So very appreciative, and thank you for the hard work with the contracts and everything you're doing.
As I was reviewing the town manager's report to approve the minutes of this meeting, I was just wondering when the applications are available for the Civilian Police Academy for Project Mayberry, because I would really be interested in participating in that, and I'm not kidding.
Sorry.
No.
Oh, really?
No, I'll find out and you send you a blast email. I'll let you know.
No. Your husband said no.
Fair enough.
You are on hold.
I have 2 quick things. One thing that we didn't touch upon in when we covered the budget topic that I think is worth pointing out, that we've kind of been alluding to, we didn't say it specifically, but the council did meet in a budget workshop last week with Chief Ruger from the police department, and he made an excellent case to us as to why the police department needs an additional some additional headcount. And we can make that available, that presentation from the chief that he presented to us, publicly available. But I mean, I think it definitely landed for all 5 of us pretty hard that the police department is really understaffed. And there was a ton of data to back it up. So that's what we've been referring to, is that there is an ad in our budget to add 2 additional police officers. And then my thing is Mamma Mia opens this weekend, Friday night, Saturday. Of course, this is what I'm gonna say. My daughter's in the show. It's gonna be really great. Go see it.
Madam Chair, I have 2 more things that I forgot on my report. I gotta keep council. I received a memo from the new town clerk. adamantly reminding me that, and I want to read this to you and the public so that everybody knows this. She sent this to me. I'd like to express a reminder to all board and committee members that upon being appointed or reappointed, you must be administered an oath of office by the town clerk. This ensures you are officially appointed for your term, as well as grants the authority to vote on board affairs, and that's a legal statement. And so I think in the past, we may have, if people were, getting renewed, they didn't come in and get sworn, they have to by law.
So renewed board members, we're gonna come up with some in June also.
In June, so if you
Okay.
renew people,
Mhm.
they have to come in and see the clerk and get sworn, they have to take that oath annually.
Madam Chair, I'm missing some records of re-oaths being administered for reappointments. I mean, granted, yes, these people have been on the boards
Yeah.
for multiple years, and I thank them for their service and stuff like that, but we do need record of them retaking that oath for the votes to count.
Okay,
Very
great.
important.
Well, that'll be something we'll be better about going forward for sure.
And so one last thing I forgot, because it just happened today, so we had the kickoff meeting today with Oak Point and LaSalle, last lockdown. There was 6 of them here, it was very good, very exciting meeting. Peter was very much thinking, he kept wanting to think around outside the box. Though some of them had already had a tour, we took a tour, it was a 2-hour meeting. They had a bunch of information they wanted to find out. They asked us about pressing needs, an estimated budget, exterior shell upgrades, repairs, interior renovation concepts and ideas. Room programming sheets, so they started, I like their approach. Their approach is to be as fiscally conservative as possible, but accomplish the goals that we think we're gonna need. They really had some really good thinking outside the box ideas. Nothing that I'll say today, but they talked a lot about the presentation presenting to you folks and doing it so that it's by priority and by cost. So what's gonna be your highest priorities that we're gonna need to get done, and what will that cost factor be? And, they did make the statement, you understand that the money you're looking at doesn't go as far as it went yesterday, and that's absolutely. But I do like the idea, and they were forcing me, because it was just me to meet everybody else to say. But they were asking hard questions about, show me that, show us this, why would we wanna do it? And they had a very unique perspective about the Port City report. And they said, yes, they looked at it from 30,000 feet. And because they only looked at it from 30,000 feet, that was the price that we got. And they said, but we're gonna look at it from 1 inch, all the way up to 30,000 feet. So so you might be able to say, well, at 10 feet, we don't want that. Eliminate that. Let's eliminate this. Oh, let's do this. That's a good idea. They were they all had pieces, and they were all moving towards it. So it was a very productive meeting. I was very enthused. I liked some of their ideas. So next, the project starts, that was today. They just kind of said that they looked at all the stuff. They came in and asked for the plans. They taken the plans. They did some walkthrough, took some pictures. And next week, they're gonna start assigning the field work for the electricians, the engineers. All those people are coming and so forth to do that stuff. So the project started to move. But I just want to let you know, it was a very good meeting. When all this was wrapped up and said, they said, we're very cognizant of taxpayer dollars here, we need to be. And I was pleased with that. I was pleased with the fact that I think we're gonna get what you wanted, what you need, what you're looking for. One of the first questions, they said, what is the importance of this building to the public? And I said, high value, high value. There's a lot of emotional feeling and support here. And, so it was a very productive meeting. As soon as I get more information to kick out, this was just like I say, the opening door. They told me they listed out like who their contractors are gonna be. They're gonna call us before they come, so we know. But I was very impressed with the whole committee. They wanted to see all the workspaces. They wanted to see all the spaces again. And they walked around and they said, we'll be coming back. And even though they said Port City measured this space, they said, we want to talk to you about repurpose, redesign, and renovation. It's all, don't look at just renovation. They said, there's a lot of stuff here, Tim, that we've already seen coming in. Like, and the perfect example that they said, can we repurpose those boilers? We don't need to buy new boilers. We just spent $80,000 on new boilers, right? He said, did you just have the chimney line? I said, yeah, that was $20,000. Then what's wrong with that? Can't we just repurpose that? So they had a really good active approach to the ideas of, let's put the value of the dollars in the places where it belongs, where it's gonna be needed, windows, heating, electrical, and not places that, you know, just build a closet for aesthetic purposes. So I was very pleased with their approach. I just wanted to pass it on to you.
Great, thank you for the update.
Madam Chair, can I thank your staff for 1 minute?
Sure, if you wanna say thank you.
I,
Anything else I wouldn't allow.
no, I promise, and I'm representing you as the chair of the South Berwick Republican Committee. We brought Diane like over 600 signatures for her to verify right after the election. Her and her staff worked so hard at making that happen. I'm really appreciative of everything that she did. She was under a lot of pressure from the state and everybody else to turn this around in a very timely manner. I just really want to thank her publicly for her effort and what she did, because she was pretty stressed with training, lack of people, a lot of stuff going on that day. So you guys did a great job. I just really want to thank you wholeheartedly for that. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love hearing good things.
I know. Okay.
Best thing ever.
Anything else?
Madam Chair, I move we adjourn.
Thank you. Second, all those in favor, say aye.
I had two things that need signatures.
We are adjourned.